Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to get into some of the history and theory of our approach that we call coaching the body. Pain is a very misunderstood topic, so I want to get into some of these things. It'll make your work as you work with other people or do self care on yourself a lot more effective. Now, when I came into the bodywork field, I was interested in becoming a Thai massage therapist. I was quite interested in that. I studied all over the world and learned many, many techniques. So, really hundreds of techniques, and a lot of it was quite sophisticated and big stretches and so on. If you've ever seen Thai massage, you're probably familiar with some of that. And what I started finding after I became a therapist was that I was attracting a lot of people with pain problems. And I wasn't very well prepared for actually treating the people with pain. The techniques, these sophisticated stretches, often, I was working with Americans who were less movement oriented than Thai people, sitting more and more static, and they couldn't do a lot of these stretches. I had yoga people, and I was a yoga practitioner myself, so a lot of my initial clientele was yoga people, and that was fine. They had more of a ability to do a lot of that. But then when the people with pain started coming in, they all had, various issues. So I had to really begin to think about what I was doing. And what I started finding was they were coming with diagnoses, different problems, different limitations. I didn't really understand how to modify things, what I could really do, and where their pain was coming from. I could do hundreds of techniques, but I didn't really know how to apply them. And this really bothered me. I was, really needed to kind of get into the reasons for why they had this pain. And of course, the medical system was something that was pretty opaque to me in the beginning, and something I had to kind of venture into. But in my traditional training, I really wasn't taught anything about the origin of pain or the best treatment. I knew how to stretch people. I could guess and say, well, this muscle might be tight, and I could stretch it. That actually turned out to be probably not a good strategy in some cases. A lot of people would come in with diagnoses that sounded quite serious, like a torn rotator cuff or torn labrum or whatever. And, at that point, I was pretty afraid to treat them because I thought I might make things worse. I didn't really understand where things were coming from, and I didn't know what their true origins of their pain was. So the diagnoses, of course, coming from a doctor, I had no real credentials medically, and nearly every person would come in with a diagnosis, and I didn't think I was a person who could really question that. So I assumed the doctors knew a lot more than I did, and then at some point I discovered trigger point therapy, which provided an alternative explanation for where some of these pain issues came from. So once I started getting into that, started looking at the trigger point literature in relation to my clients, I started realizing that there was nothing magic about these diagnoses. They were often wrong, in fact. So often doctors would just, if you had pain in front of your shoulder, they might say, well, you have, tendonitis in the front of your shoulder, and make that assumption and not even actually clinically test it, which was quite shocking to me.